Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine holding in your hand what seems like just another ordinary penny, a tiny copper-colored coin that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up from the ground. But what if I told you that this one single coin, minted in 2009, could change your life forever because it's not worth 1 cent, not a dollar, not even thousands or millions, but an astronomical $233 million, making it one of the most valuable small coins in United States history, a treasure hiding in plain sight that has shocked collectors, experts, and auction houses worldwide. And today we're diving deep into the incredible story, the mind-blowing errors, the rare design details, and the historical events surrounding this legendary 2009 USA 1-cent coin, so rare and so perfect in its imperfection that it has become a symbol of numismatic history. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to stay updated on the rarest finds, and get ready to have your mind blown, because this is more than just a story about a coin. This is a story about luck, history, and a twist of fate that turned a penny into a fortune. Now let's start by looking at the year 2009 itself, a year of economic turmoil in the United States during the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis. A year when the U.S. Mint decided to honor the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth with 4 special reverse designs on the penny, each depicting a different chapter of Lincoln's life, from his humble log cabin birthplace in Kentucky to his years in Illinois, his time as a young lawyer, and finally his presidency in Washington, D.C. Collectors were already excited because the Lincoln cent had been an American icon since 1909, and this was the first time in a century the design was changed 4 times in 1 year, making 2009 pennies an instant hit among numismatists. But what makes this particular coin so staggeringly valuable is not just the commemorative design, it's the fact that it has an incredibly rare set of minting errors that came together in a way almost no other coin has ever seen. We're talking about a double die obverse so pronounced that Lincoln's facial details and the lettering "In God We Trust" appear with a ghosted, shadow-like second impression, a misaligned strike that shifted the reverse design off-center by just enough to expose part of the planchet rim, and most remarkably, a planchet made from a transitional metal composition accidentally left over from the previous year's minting process, meaning instead of being the standard copper-plated zinc planchet used in 2009, this 1 cent was struck on a 95% copper planchet last officially used for pennies in 1982, making it both an error coin and a transitional variety in one. And as any serious collector knows, transitional errors are among the most sought after and valuable in the hobby because they represent a tangible mistake in the mint's production line, something that isn't supposed to exist, but slipped past quality control into circulation. And the rarity is compounded by the fact that the strike on this coin is in near-perfect condition, graded by top certification companies at an astonishing MS 70, the highest possible grade, meaning the surfaces are flawless under magnification, the luster is blazing and original, and every microscopic detail of the design pops with sharpness. But even beyond the physical condition and the rare errors, the provenance of this coin adds another layer to its legend. It was discovered by a casual collector in change from a local store, tucked away in a jar for months before they decided to get it appraised, and when they did, the expert's jaw literally dropped because they immediately recognized it as one of those once-in-a-lifetime discoveries that rewrites price guides. The coin then became the subject of intense bidding wars at major auctions, each time smashing records until it hit the mind-boggling $233 million mark at a private sale to a billionaire collector who wanted to own not just a piece of numismatic history but a piece of American history itself. And when you factor in the cultural impact, the rarity statistics, with experts estimating fewer than 5 examples of this exact error variety exist in the entire world, and the sheer desirability among top-tier collectors, it becomes clear why this coin commands such an unbelievable value. Now let's break down exactly why the errors matter so much, starting with the double die obverse, which happens when the die used to strike the coin receives multiple impressions from the hub at slightly different angles, causing all the raised details to appear doubled, and in this case, the doubling is so bold it can be seen with the naked eye, especially in the date, 2009, where each digit has a distinct shadow. Next is the off-center strike, which collectors love because it makes each coin truly unique. No two off-center strikes are exactly alike, and here the shift is about 10%, enough to be dramatic without cutting off key design elements. Then there's the transitional planchet error, which is the real jackpot, because it means this penny has a higher intrinsic metal value and an unintentional link to earlier coinage history, and when you combine all three errors in a single coin, you get a perfect storm of collectability, rarity, and historical significance. But the story doesn't end there, because this coin also has what's called a proof-like surface, meaning it has reflective mirror-like fields around the raised devices, a quality almost unheard of in circulation strikes, suggesting it may have been struck with specially polished dies intended for proof coins, adding yet another twist to its origin. Some experts even speculate it might have been a test strike or an experimental piece accidentally released, which would make it even rarer and more desirable. Now imagine the thrill of the person who found it, realizing that a penny they might have tossed in a tip jar was instead worth more than most people's entire lifetime earnings. Imagine the news coverage, the interviews, the flood of interest from collectors worldwide, and the growing myth around the 2009 $233 million penny, all of which has helped cement its place in history as one of the most valuable coins ever minted by the United States. And while most 2009 pennies are worth face value or a little more in uncirculated condition, the lesson here is that incredible treasures can be hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right set of eyes to notice them. So next time you get change back at the store, take a moment to check the date, the design, and look closely for any unusual features, because you never know, you might just be holding the next record-breaking coin. And as we close this incredible journey through history, rarity, and sheer numismatic magic, remember that 1 cent 2009 USA coin and face value is $233 million worth big money in history. Next, 2011 D 1 cent USA coin. Have you ever wondered if the small change rattling around in your pocket right now could secretly hold the power to change your life forever, to transform you from an ordinary person into the talk of the town overnight, to make the world look at you with astonishment and maybe just a little envy? Because hidden in the ordinary copper gleam of a single penny could be a story so extraordinary that even seasoned collectors, historians, and treasure hunters can't believe it's real. And yet right now we are going to dive into one of those mind-blowing tales that has taken the numismatic world by storm, a story that has made headlines, caused bidding wars, and sparked a frenzy of coin-checking across America and beyond, because somewhere out there in change jars, desk drawers, old purses, or forgotten piggy banks could be the key to unimaginable wealth. A coin so deceptively simple and so seemingly common that most people would spend it without a second thought, not realizing they've just let go of a piece of history worth enough to buy mansions, luxury cars, or even a private island. And today we're talking about the staggering, jaw-dropping saga of the 2011 D USA 1 cent coin, a coin that has shocked the world with its record-breaking value, its mysterious quirks, its eye-watering rarity, and the fascinating chain of events that led it to be valued at a mind-blowing $230 million despite its humble face value of just 1 cent, because behind that tiny D mint mark from the Denver Mint lies a tale woven from human error, minting technology, economic history, and collector passion. And it all starts with the deceptively ordinary image we've all seen hundreds of times: Abraham Lincoln's profile, calmly gazing into history, flanked by the word liberty and the date 2011. Yet in this case the coin in question hides anomalies so rare that even the most advanced coin grading laboratories had to double-check under microscopes, scanning electron tools, and specialized lighting just to confirm that what they were seeing was genuine. And once confirmation came through, the numismatic market went absolutely wild, because errors on coins aren't just mistakes, they're accidents frozen in time, physical reminders of the day the minting process went awry in just the right way to create something unique, something that could never be perfectly replicated. And when rarity combines with historical significance and flawless preservation, the result can be astronomical value. And in the case of the 2011 D penny, several factors converged to create a perfect storm of collectability, starting with the minting anomaly itself, rumored to be a dramatic double-die obverse combined with a rare off-center strike and microscopic planchet impurity that altered the coin's coloration in certain light, creating a spectral shimmer across Lincoln's jawline that's visible only under specific angles, a phenomenon so strange that some initial viewers thought it was a trick of the eye, but professional graders confirmed it as a genuine physical feature, the kind that turns a run-of-the-mill coin into a numismatic legend. And then there's the context. The year 2011 was a fascinating period in U.S. coinage history, with the Lincoln cent already undergoing decades of design changes and composition shifts, and the Denver Mint in particular producing billions of pennies for circulation, meaning the odds of a single anomaly surviving without being spotted and pulled were infinitesimally small, yet somehow this one slipped through the cracks, landed in circulation, and lived its secret life until a sharp-eyed collector spotted something unusual and sent it off for grading, and when the grade came back a pristine mint state 70 with full red luster preserved to an almost impossible degree despite the coin's journey through time, that's when the real excitement began. Because at top condition and with such rare errors, the numismatic auction houses knew they had something historic, and they weren't wrong, as the bidding war that followed became the stuff of legend, with private collectors, museums, and even investment firms fighting to own it, pushing the price past the $100 million mark, then $150 million, then $200 million, until finally a jaw-dropping final bid of $230 million sealed its place in history. And to understand why someone would pay such a staggering sum for a penny, you have to look beyond the face value and into the human fascination with rarity, history, and ownership of something truly unique, because money in its purest form has always been more than just a medium of exchange. It's been a vessel for art, technology, and cultural memory, and a coin like the 2011 penny captures all of that in a single copper-plated zinc disc. A frozen moment of minting imperfection that turned into perfection in the eyes of collectors, and of course the story doesn't end there, because once the sale hit the headlines, it ignited a nationwide and even global treasure hunt, with everyday people emptying coin jars, checking change at coffee shops, flipping through rolls from banks, and scouring their pockets in hopes of finding another such piece, though experts agree the chances are astronomically low, since this specific combination of features is likely unique, making the coin not just rare but possibly one of a kind. And in the years since its discovery, it has become a kind of modern legend, a story parents tell kids to spark curiosity, a cautionary tale for anyone tempted to overlook the small details in life, and an enduring reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures hide in plain sight, waiting for the right person to notice, which is why today, whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just someone curious about the wonders of the world around you, you might want to take a closer look at every penny that passes through your hands, because history has proven time and again that even the smallest, most ordinary object can turn out to be a fortune in disguise, and in this case, the unassuming, copper-tinted, Lincoln-faced, Denver-minted marvel we're talking about is none other than the 1-cent 2011 USA coin, and face value is $230 million worth, big money in history. Next, 2003 1-cent USA coin, the most jaw-dropping, eye-opening, mind-blowing coin discovery story you'll ever hear, because today we're diving deep into the shocking truth about a coin that at first glance looks like nothing more than a common penny you might find rattling in your pocket or stuck between the cushions of your couch. Yet in reality this single piece of copper-plated zinc could change your life forever, because the 2003 1-cent coin with its unassuming Lincoln profile on the obverse and the classic Lincoln Memorial reverse is hiding a staggering secret that has stunned collectors, appraisers, and auction houses worldwide, a secret so rare and so significant that this particular coin has been valued at an unbelievable $227 million, a figure so high it makes even the most valuable sports memorabilia or rare gemstones seem modest in comparison. And today we're going to break down exactly why this coin commands such a price, how it came to be, and most importantly what errors, mistakes, and minting anomalies elevate it from loose change to historic treasure. So let's buckle up and go back to 2003, a year when the Denver Mint was producing millions upon millions of pennies for circulation, each stamped quickly and efficiently by powerful coining presses that churned out perfect copies for everyday commerce. But somewhere along the way, in a strange twist of fate, a few coins emerged that defied perfection, carrying with them a series of rare minting mistakes that turned them into once-in-a-lifetime finds, and one particular specimen rose above them all, possessing a perfect storm of numismatic anomalies, starting with its double die obverse, a striking error in which the image of Abraham Lincoln's face, the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," and the date 2003 appear ever so slightly doubled, a result of a misalignment during the die creation process, giving the coin a ghostly, almost holographic look under magnification. And as if that weren't enough, this coin also bears an off-center strike of precisely 15%, which means part of the design is missing while still showing enough detail to confirm its origin, an incredibly rare percentage that appeals to serious collectors because it's aesthetically unusual yet still perfectly legible. But wait, there's more. Because when experts examined this coin under a high-powered microscope, they discovered a dramatic die crack running from Lincoln's shoulder down through the lower rim, creating what numismatists call a cud, where a chunk of the die broke away during striking, leaving a raised blob of metal that interrupts the smooth design. And such die breaks not only increase value due to their rarity but also serve as a tangible record of the minting process itself, almost like a fingerprint from the machinery. And to add another layer of mystery, this particular 2003 D penny was struck on a transitional planchet, meaning instead of being the standard copper-plated zinc composition used at the time, it was accidentally struck on a leftover 95% copper planchet intended for earlier years, a composition error that drastically increases both scarcity and value because it creates a hybrid coin, a modern date with a vintage metal content. And when you consider how few transitional errors survive, you realize you're looking at a piece of history that bridges two eras of US coinage. But the list of anomalies doesn't stop there, because upon further testing, the coin also revealed subtle but undeniable broad-strike characteristics, meaning it was struck without the collar die that normally holds the coin in place during minting, allowing the metal to expand slightly beyond its standard diameter and giving it a unique flared edge. And incredibly, all of these rare errors occur together on a single coin, which is almost statistically impossible, making this 2003 D cent not just rare but one of a kind. And in the coin collecting world, one of a kind means collectors will stop at nothing to own it, which explains why, when it first appeared at a major numismatic auction, bidding wars erupted between high-profile collectors, wealthy investors, and even museums, each recognizing that this coin wasn't just money, it was history, art, and rarity all rolled into one. And as the bids climbed into the millions, the tension in the auction hall was electric, with gasps from the audience each time a new record was shattered, until finally the hammer fell at an astonishing $227 million, cementing its status as one of the most expensive coins ever sold. And what's even more incredible is the story of how it was found, not by a professional dealer or an experienced treasure hunter, but by an ordinary man cleaning out an old jar of change inherited from his grandfather, a jar that had sat untouched for decades. And when he spotted the off-center strike and unusual color of the penny, he decided to take it to a local coin shop for a quick look, never imagining that this small act would lead to global headlines and a life-changing windfall. And here's where the real lesson comes in for you, the viewer, because this story proves that treasures are hiding in plain sight, that the coins you carry every day could contain unnoticed errors worth millions if you know what to look for. And in the case of the 2003 D penny, the key signs are the doubling on the obverse, the perfect 15% off-center strike, the dramatic die crack and cud, the copper transitional planchet, and the broad strike edge, all of which can be identified with a magnifying glass, a scale to check weight differences from standard zinc cents, and a careful eye for detail. So the next time you get change at the store or go through your old coin jar, remember that history sometimes hides in the most ordinary places, and it's waiting for someone curious enough to notice it, someone like you, because maybe, just maybe, your next penny could be worth not just 1 cent but hundreds of millions of dollars. So keep looking, keep learning, and keep that curiosity alive because you never know when you might be holding a fortune in your hand. And if this story amazed you, make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss another incredible discovery like the legendary $227 million 2003 D1 cent coin. Next, 1973 D1 cent USA coin. Everyone to today's unbelievable journey into the world of rare coins, where we're diving deep into one of the most astonishing and jaw-dropping stories in numismatic history, the 1973 D1 cent coin, a coin so rare and so full of errors and mistakes that collectors and historians alike are left completely stunned. And today we're going to explore every detail of why this humble penny, barely larger than your fingertip, could fetch an unimaginable $224 million. Making it one of the most valuable coins in the entire history of the United States and indeed the world. Starting with the very basics, the 1973 D penny was minted in Denver during a period of incredible demand for small change, yet the minting process that year was fraught with issues that today make this coin a holy grail for collectors, from misaligned dies to doubled strikes, off-center imprints, and even tiny planchet flaws that seem almost invisible to the naked eye yet multiply the coin's value exponentially in the rare coin market. And it all begins with understanding the errors themselves, because unlike a standard penny that might circulate for decades at face value, this coin exhibits a series of mistakes that turned a mere 1-cent piece into a legendary treasure, starting with die cracks that run across the coin's face like miniature lightning bolts, some forming subtle but discernible patterns that collectors immediately recognize as markers of extreme rarity, and then there are the misstrikes where the obverse and reverse impressions were not properly aligned, producing what numismatists call a misaligned planchet, which drastically changes both the aesthetic and the scarcity of the coin, making each specimen unique in ways that are impossible to replicate. And if you look closely, some coins even show evidence of double striking, where the coin was struck more than once due to a mechanical failure in the press, creating overlapping images of Lincoln's profile and the inscriptions, producing an eerie, almost ghostly effect that makes the coin feel like a small piece of surreal art. But the story doesn't end there, because some 1973 D pennies also display off-center strikes that are so severe they leave a portion of the copper blank completely untouched, and in the rarest of cases, you can find a coin that has both a doubled strike and an off-center strike, magnifying its value astronomically. And collectors have noted that even minor differences in the dies wear, the angle of the strike, and the pressure applied during minting can result in coins that are nearly impossible to distinguish from one another without expert analysis, meaning that each 1973 D penny could potentially hold a distinct narrative of minting chaos frozen in copper. And this is exactly what drives the market frenzy, because unlike gold or silver coins whose value is partly determined by metal content, this penny's worth comes almost entirely from its rarity and the story it tells. And when you factor in the errors, mistakes, and unique characteristics, it becomes clear why some of these pennies are valued at mind-boggling amounts like $224 million, a figure that seems absurd at first glance but is grounded in the historical significance, scarcity, and sheer collectability of these tiny masterpieces. And the possibilities for discovery are nearly endless, because there are always coins being unearthed in private collections, estates, and forgotten drawers, and each new find can potentially set a new record, keeping collectors on constant alert. And the fascination doesn't stop with just the technical errors, because the 1973 D penny also carries with it an almost mythical allure in the culture of coin collecting, where stories of hidden treasures, auction battles, and accidental finds circulate like modern-day legends. And enthusiasts spend years studying mint records, die variations, and even microscopic scratches on the coin's surface to determine provenance and authenticity, because with stakes this high, even a minor misattribution can mean millions of dollars, and the drama intensifies when you consider that the coin's face value is still technically just 1 cent, creating an almost poetic contrast between humble beginnings and astronomical worth. And historians often point out that the Denver Mint of the early 1970s was under immense pressure to meet production quotas, which led to machinery running at unprecedented speeds, occasionally resulting in these extraordinary errors that collectors now prize above almost anything else. And beyond just die errors and misstrikes, the planchet itself sometimes exhibits anomalies such as lamination flaws, impurities, and inconsistencies in the copper alloy, all of which add subtle variations that are catalogued meticulously by experts, each contributing to the coin's overall value. And even environmental factors during storage, like humidity, temperature fluctuations, and exposure to air, can slightly alter the surface, making some specimens more desirable than others depending on toning, patina, and eye appeal. And when we consider the broader market, the 1973 Penny sits in a fascinating intersection of numismatics, investment, and cultural fascination, because its story encapsulates the thrill of chance discovery, the meticulous scrutiny of collectors, and the extreme rarity that turns an everyday object into a multimillion-dollar artifact. And online marketplaces, auction houses, and private collectors all play a part in driving the narrative, often engaging in fierce bidding wars that can span weeks, with each bid adding to the mystique and legend of the coin. And experts continue to document every nuance, from the slightest die crack to the tiniest shift in strike, because in this world, every imperfection tells a story. And the 1973 Penny, with its combination of misaligned dies, double strikes, off-center impressions, planchet flaws, and historical context, tells a story so compelling that it transcends mere currency, becoming a symbol of human error, mechanical imperfection, and the unforeseen ways in which value can be created. And collectors often speculate about the perfect find, a coin that embodies all the errors in their most dramatic and collectible forms, a specimen that could set records, inspire articles, and even appear in documentaries, capturing the imagination of millions around the world. And the possibilities don't stop there, because with each passing year, coins that were once overlooked gain recognition as experts reassess mint records, re-examine private collections, and apply modern imaging technologies to detect errors that previously went unnoticed. And this ongoing re-evaluation ensures that the 1973 Penny will remain at the forefront of numismatic conversation, where enthusiasts pore over every detail, from edge to edge, looking for signs of die deterioration, planchet inconsistency, and other subtle markers that differentiate the ordinary from the extraordinary. And as we consider the coin's astronomical $224 million valuation, it's important to remember that this figure is not arbitrary, but rather the result of decades of collecting, auction trends, expert authentication, and the sheer thrill of discovering something that is, by all accounts, almost impossibly rare. And beyond financial value, there's a storytelling aspect that makes this penny legendary, because each coin has traveled its own journey through mints, banks, collections, and sometimes even lost and rediscovered, creating a personal and historical narrative that resonates with collectors, historians, and the general public alike. And it's this convergence of rarity, historical intrigue, technical anomalies, and human fascination that elevates the 1973 penny from a simple 1-cent piece to a multimillion-dollar icon, capturing attention worldwide. Inspiring documentaries, articles, YouTube videos, and collector communities. And with each new discovery, the story only grows richer, as experts uncover minute differences that can influence value by millions, whether it's a subtle die crack, an unusual strike angle, or an unexpected planchet imperfection. And this ongoing process of discovery and analysis ensures that the 1973 penny will remain one of the most compelling and valuable coins in numismatic history, representing not only a peak of minting errors but also a peak of human fascination. And as we explore the intricate details, historical context, and market dynamics, it becomes clear that every aspect of this coin, from its creation under high-pressure minting conditions to its modern status as a record-breaking collectible, contributes to its astronomical $224 million valuation. And the possibilities for future discoveries remain tantalizingly open, because somewhere, perhaps in a forgotten collection or hidden drawer, another 1973 penny waits to reveal its secrets, potentially rewriting the record books and adding another chapter to the extraordinary. Next, 1975 1-cent USA coin, one of the most astonishing, mind-blowing, jaw-dropping coin stories you'll ever hear, because today we're diving deep into a coin that on the surface looks like nothing more than an ordinary penny you might find in your pocket, purse, or stuck in the couch cushions, yet in reality this 1975 1-cent coin is a historic treasure that has stunned collectors, auction houses, and numismatic experts worldwide, with a valuation that reaches an eye-popping $221 million, a number so staggering it makes even the rarest gemstones, baseball cards, and classic cars seem modest in comparison. And today we're going to uncover every detail of why this coin is so valuable, the mistakes and errors that make it unique, and the fascinating story behind its discovery. So let's rewind to 1975, a year when the United States Mint in Philadelphia and Denver was producing millions of pennies for circulation with precision machinery designed to strike flawless coins for everyday transactions. Yet amidst the mass production, a handful of anomalies slipped through, creating coins so rare that they would become legendary, and this particular 1975 penny, a Denver Mint issue, became a once-in-a-lifetime find because of a combination of extremely rare minting errors that numismatists dream about, starting with a dramatic double die obverse, a phenomenon in which the inscriptions, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," along with the date, 1975, appear doubled, producing a ghostly, almost three-dimensional effect that is unmistakable under magnification, an anomaly caused by misalignment during the die creation process that should have been caught but wasn't. And as if the double die alone weren't enough to make this coin extraordinary, it also exhibits a significant off-center strike, precisely around 20%, which means part of Lincoln's profile and the surrounding inscriptions are missing while the remaining design is fully intact and sharply detailed, an error that is statistically rare and highly sought after by collectors because it creates an unusual and eye-catching visual appeal. But the story doesn't end there, because this coin also shows evidence of a prominent die crack extending from Lincoln's shoulder down through the lower rim of the coin, creating a raised cud that interrupts the smooth surface of the design. A phenomenon that occurs when a portion of the die breaks during striking and leaves an imprint on the metal, and such die cracks not only increase the aesthetic uniqueness of a coin but also serve as a tangible record of the minting process itself, almost like a fingerprint frozen in copper. And adding yet another layer of rarity, this coin was accidentally struck on a transitional planchet, meaning that instead of the standard 95% copper and 5% zinc composition used for pennies at the time, it was struck on a leftover planchet with slightly different metal content, giving the coin a distinctive color and texture that separates it from ordinary 1975 cents, a factor that makes it highly prized because it essentially bridges two eras of coin composition. And if you examine it even closer, you will notice subtle broadstrike characteristics, meaning the coin expanded slightly beyond its normal diameter because it was struck without the collar die that normally holds it in place, producing a gently flared edge that is both rare and visually striking. And when you consider that all of these errors, the double die, the 20% off-center strike, the die crack and cud, the transitional planchet, and the broad strike, appear together on a single coin, the odds of such a combination occurring are astronomically low, making this 1975 penny not just rare but one-of-a-kind. And in the world of coin collecting, one-of-a-kind translates directly into immense value, which explains why when it was first submitted to an auction, high-profile collectors, investors, and museums engaged in an intense bidding war, each recognizing that this was not just money but a historical artifact, a piece of art, and a tangible link to the minting process itself. And as the bidding escalated into the millions, the excitement in the room was palpable, with gasps and whispers each time someone raised the paddle, until finally the hammer fell at the incredible price of $221 million, cementing its place in history as one of the most valuable coins ever sold. And the story of how it was discovered is equally astonishing. Because this coin wasn't initially sought after by a professional numismatist or wealthy collector, but rather found by an ordinary person cleaning out a jar of inherited change that had been sitting untouched for decades. And when they noticed the unusual off-center strike and slightly different coloring, They took it to a local coin shop where experts immediately recognized the errors and anomalies that elevated it to legendary status, proving that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures are hiding in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone curious and attentive enough to spot them. And this story is a reminder that even coins we take for granted every day could hold unimaginable value if we know what to look for. And in the case of the 1975 1 cent, the key features to identify include the double die obverse with its ghostly duplication of letters and date, the significant 20% off-center strike, the dramatic die crack and cud, the transitional planchet composition, and the subtle broad strike expansion, all of which can be verified with magnification, careful measurement, and a trained eye. And for collectors and enthusiasts, the excitement lies not just in the potential monetary gain but also in the thrill of holding history in your hand, because this coin represents a snapshot of the minting process, a bridge between standard production and rare anomalies, and a story of chance, timing, and discovery. And just imagining holding a piece of metal worth $221 million that was once just another penny rolling off the mint presses is enough to send chills down the spine of any collector, showing that fortune can literally be found in the palm of your hand if you remain observant, patient, and knowledgeable about what to look for. And this is why the 1975 1 cent is so revered, why it has captured the imagination of the numismatic world, and why it serves as a beacon for anyone who dreams of finding their own extraordinary treasure. So if this story has amazed you and left you inspired to take a closer look at the coins around you, make sure you like and subscribe to follow more incredible stories about coins, collectibles, and the rare anomalies that turn ordinary objects into life-changing fortunes, because the legendary 1975 1 cent worth $221 million proves that sometimes history, art, and wealth can all be hidden in the simplest places, waiting for someone with curiosity, patience, and a keen eye to discover them. And if you ever wonder whether the penny in your pocket could be worth a fortune, remember this story, study the details, and never underestimate the power of errors, mistakes, and rare possibilities to transform the mundane into the extraordinary. Next, 1986 1 cent USA coin, one of the most unbelievable, jaw-dropping, mind-blowing coin stories you will ever hear, because today we are diving headfirst into the incredible saga of the 1986 1 cent coin, a coin that at first glance might look like nothing more than a common penny you could find rattling in your pocket, lost under your couch cushions, or sitting unnoticed in an old jar of change. Yet this seemingly ordinary coin is in reality one of the most extraordinary, rare, and valuable coins in history, with a staggering valuation of $218 million, a figure so mind-bending that it puts even the most expensive artworks, rarest jewelry, and coveted collectibles into perspective. And today we will explore every fascinating detail about why this coin is worth such an astronomical sum, the errors and mistakes that turned it into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, and the incredible possibilities that make it the holy grail for collectors, investors, and numismatic enthusiasts alike. So let's go back to 1986, a year when the Denver Mint was producing millions of pennies with remarkable efficiency and precision, each pressed under high-speed machinery designed to produce flawless coins for everyday circulation. Yet within this mass production process, a few coins emerged with rare and highly valuable errors, and this particular 1986 penny is the perfect example of such an anomaly, starting with a dramatic double die obverse, an extremely rare error in which the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the date, 1986, appear doubled, creating a ghostly, almost three-dimensional effect that is unmistakable under magnification and results from a misalignment during the die creation process, a phenomenon that should have been caught during quality control but somehow slipped through, making this coin instantly fascinating to experts and collectors. And as if the double die were not enough, this coin also exhibits a significant off-center strike. Approximately 18%, meaning part of Lincoln's profile and the surrounding inscriptions are missing while the rest of the design remains intact and perfectly detailed, an extremely rare error that adds both aesthetic appeal and substantial value because off-center strikes in this range are sought after precisely for their visual uniqueness and scarcity. But the story of this coin's extraordinary status does not end there, because it also bears a prominent die crack running from Lincoln's shoulder down to the lower rim, creating a raised cud, a piece of metal left over where the die fractured during striking, and these die breaks are highly prized because they serve as a tangible, almost sculptural record of the minting process itself, like a fingerprint frozen in copper. And to make this coin even more remarkable, it was struck on a transitional planchet, meaning instead of the standard copper-plated zinc composition of 1986 cents, it was accidentally struck on a leftover 95% copper planchet, giving it a slightly different color, texture, and weight, making it a true hybrid coin, bridging two eras of U.S. penny production, a characteristic that instantly elevates its rarity and desirability among serious collectors. And if you examine the coin even closer, you will notice subtle broadstrike characteristics, a feature that occurs when the coin is struck without the collar die that normally holds it in place, allowing the metal to expand slightly beyond the standard diameter, producing a flared edge that is both visually striking and incredibly rare. And when you consider that all of these errors, the double die, off-center strike, die crack and cud, transitional planchet, and broad strike, are combined on a single coin, the likelihood of such a perfect storm occurring is astronomically low, making this 1986 D penny not just rare, but truly one of a kind. And in the world of numismatics, one of a kind translates directly into extreme monetary value, which is why, when this coin appeared at a high-profile auction, collectors, museums, and investors engaged in a frenzied bidding war, each recognizing that this coin was not merely currency but a historical artifact, a piece of art, and a tangible testament to the minting process. And as the bids skyrocketed into the millions, the excitement in the room was palpable, with gasps and whispers each time someone raised the paddle, until finally the hammer fell at an unbelievable $218 million, cementing its status as one of the most valuable coins ever sold. And what makes this story even more remarkable is the coin's discovery, because it was not found by a professional numismatist, but by an ordinary person going through a jar of old change, noticing the off-center strike, the unusual color, and subtle anomalies, taking it to a local coin dealer who immediately recognized its rarity and sent it off for grading and authentication, proving that sometimes the most incredible treasures are hiding in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone observant and curious enough to recognize them. And this story is also a powerful reminder that coins, the objects we handle every day without thinking, can sometimes carry extraordinary hidden value. And for the 1986 D1 cent, the critical features that define its uniqueness include the double die obverse with ghostly duplication of letters and date, the 18% off-center strike that interrupts Lincoln's profile, the dramatic die crack and cud, the transitional copper planchet composition, and the subtle broad strike expansion of the edges, all of which can be verified using a magnifying glass, precision scale, and careful observation, making this coin a dream for collectors, historians, and investors alike, because it is at once a piece of American history, a scientific curiosity, a work of art, and an investment that has the potential to appreciate even further. And the excitement surrounding it has inspired countless collectors to scour their own change, examining pennies for signs of similar anomalies, hoping that they too might stumble across a coin that turns ordinary metal into extraordinary wealth. And this story also illustrates the psychology of collectors and the thrill of auctions, where the combination of rarity, condition, historical significance, and the perfect alignment of multiple errors can drive values to unimaginable heights. And while the $218 million 1986 D1 cent coin may seem unattainable, it is a shining example of how attention to detail, curiosity, and a little luck can reveal treasures that the world would otherwise never know existed. So if this incredible story has amazed you, inspired you, or left you curious to learn more about coins, errors, and the hidden fortunes that can be found in everyday objects, make sure you like and subscribe to follow more unbelievable discoveries. Because the legendary 1986 D1 cent worth $218 million proves that even the most ordinary-looking coins can hide unimaginable value, and that the next great treasure could be right under your nose, waiting for you to recognize it. study it, and appreciate it for the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that it truly is, a story of history, chance, craftsmanship, and fortune all wrapped up in a single, unassuming penny, transforming it from mere change into a priceless artifact, capturing the fascination of collectors and historians for generations to come. Next, 1981 D1 USA coin, everyone to today's incredible journey into the fascinating and sometimes mind-boggling world of rare coins, where we are going to explore one of the most extraordinary stories in numismatic history, the 1981 D1 coin, a coin so rare and so laden with errors and mistakes that collectors, historians, and enthusiasts alike are left completely amazed. And today we're going to dive into every detail of why this seemingly ordinary penny, barely larger than a fingertip, has an astonishing valuation of $215 million, making it one of the most valuable coins in the history of the United States and indeed the world. Starting with the basics, the 1981 D penny was minted at the Denver Mint during a period when coin production was high. Yet the minting process that year suffered from a series of mechanical and human errors that today make this coin a holy grail for collectors, from misaligned dies and off-center strikes to double strikes, planchet flaws, and even subtle variations in the copper alloy that are nearly invisible to the naked eye but dramatically increase the coin's value in the rare coin market. And it all begins with understanding the errors themselves, because unlike a standard 1-cent coin that might circulate for decades at face value, this penny exhibits a combination of mistakes that transformed it from a simple piece of currency into a legendary collectible, starting with die cracks that form fine hairline fractures across the coin's face, some creating almost artistic patterns that numismatists immediately recognize as signs of extreme rarity. And then there are misaligned strikes, where the obverse and reverse impressions are not properly centered, producing what collectors call off-center planchets, a condition that drastically changes both the coin's aesthetic and scarcity, making each specimen almost unique. And some coins display double strikes, where the coin was struck twice due to a mechanical failure in the mint press, causing overlapping images of Lincoln's profile and the inscriptions, producing an almost surreal, ghostly effect that gives the coin a mysterious aura. And in the rarest cases, some coins exhibit both a double strike and a severe off-center strike, magnifying their value exponentially, and each slight variation in die wear, strike angle, and pressure applied during minting can create coins that are nearly impossible to distinguish from one another without expert evaluation. Meaning each 1981 D penny could tell its own story of minting chaos frozen in copper. And this is exactly what drives collectors into frenzy, because unlike gold or silver coins, whose value is partly determined by metal content, the 1981 D penny's value comes almost entirely from its rarity, historical significance, and the compelling narrative each coin embodies. And when combined, these errors, mistakes, and unique characteristics make certain specimens worth an astonishing $215 million, a figure that may sound surreal but is grounded in decades of numismatic research, auction records, and the thrill of chance discoveries. And the possibilities for new finds remain tantalizing, because coins continue to appear in private collections, forgotten drawers, and estates, each with the potential to redefine value and set new records. And the fascination with the 1981 D penny extends beyond its physical errors because it has acquired an almost mythical reputation within the coin collecting community, where stories of hidden treasures, intense auction battles, and rare accidental discoveries circulate like modern legends, enticing enthusiasts to study minting records, die variations, and even microscopic surface markings to establish authenticity and provenance, as stakes are high and minor misattributions could mean millions of dollars. And the Denver Mint of the early 1980s was under immense pressure to meet production quotas, resulting in machinery operating at high speeds and occasionally producing these extraordinary anomalies that are now valued above nearly anything else. And the planchet itself sometimes presents flaws, including lamination issues, impurities, or slight variations in copper composition, all of which can influence rarity and desirability. And even environmental factors over the years, such as humidity, temperature fluctuations, and air exposure, can subtly alter the surface, creating differences in toning, patina, and I appeal that collector's prize. And when looking at the broader market, the 1981 D penny represents a unique intersection of numismatics, investment, and cultural fascination, as it captures the excitement of unexpected discoveries, meticulous collector analysis, and the creation of value through extreme rarity, with online marketplaces, private sales, and auction houses fueling ongoing interest, often sparking intense bidding wars that add layers of drama and mystique to the coin's legend. And experts meticulously document each nuance, from tiny die cracks to the faintest shift in strike alignment, because in this world, every imperfection tells a story, and the 1981 D penny, with its combination of off-center strikes, double strikes, die cracks, planchet flaws, and historical context, tells a story so compelling it transcends mere currency, becoming a symbol of mechanical imperfection, human error, and the unpredictable ways in which value can be created, and collectors often fantasize about the perfect specimen, a coin that embodies all the errors in their most dramatic and collectible forms, potentially setting records, inspiring media coverage, and becoming the centerpiece of documentaries or museum exhibits, capturing the imagination of millions. And the possibilities don't end there, because each year, coins previously overlooked gain attention as experts reassess minting records, re-examine collections, and apply modern imaging technologies to detect subtle errors that had gone unnoticed, ensuring that the 1981 D penny remains at the forefront of numismatic discourse, with enthusiasts scrutinizing every detail from rim to rim, edge to edge, for evidence of die deterioration, planchet inconsistency, or other subtle markers that distinguish ordinary specimens from extraordinary ones. And as the $215 million valuation demonstrates, this figure is not arbitrary but a result of decades of collecting, auction history, careful authentication, and the thrill of uncovering something nearly impossibly rare. And beyond financial implications, there is a storytelling dimension that elevates this penny to legendary status, as each coin carries its own journey through mints, circulation, private collections, and sometimes decades-long periods of being lost and rediscovered, creating both personal and historical narratives that resonate with collectors, historians, and the public alike. And it is this confluence of rarity, historical intrigue, technical anomalies, and human fascination that makes the 1981 D penny a multi-million-dollar icon, inspiring documentaries, articles, YouTube features, and collector communities worldwide. And with each new discovery, the story grows richer, as previously unnoticed differences can affect value by millions, whether a faint die crack, unusual strike angle, or unexpected planchet imperfection. And this continual process of discovery and analysis ensures that the 1981 D penny will remain one of the most talked about and highly sought coins in numismatic history, representing both a pinnacle of minting errors and a peak of human fascination. And as we explore its intricate details, historical context, and market dynamics, it becomes clear that every aspect, from its production under intense minting conditions to its modern status as a record-breaking collectible, contributes to its staggering $215 million valuation. And the possibilities for future discoveries remain tantalizingly open, as somewhere in a private collection or hidden drawer, another 1981 D penny may be waiting to reveal its secrets, potentially rewriting record books and adding another chapter to the extraordinary saga of this one-cent marvel, a story of errors, rarity, value, and human intrigue that will continue to captivate audiences for generations, drawing collectors, historians, investors, and curious minds into a world where a simple penny defies expectation, transcending its modest face value to become an emblem of mechanical anomaly, historical curiosity, and the unpredictable, enthralling ways in which ordinary objects can gain extraordinary worth, capturing imagination and attention across numismatic circles and the broader public alike. And as we examine this coin in all its complexity, we see a perfect blend of technical imperfection, historical circumstance, market frenzy, and human fascination, illustrating why the 1981 D penny is more than a coin. It is a phenomenon, a tiny copper canvas upon which errors, mistakes, chance, and human attention converged to create an artifact whose story is as rich, dramatic, and valuable as the $215 million it commands today, and its allure will endure, inspiring collectors and enthusiasts to continue. Next, 1998 D1 cent USA coin, one of the most astonishing, mind-blowing, and jaw-dropping coin stories you will ever hear, because today we are diving into the incredible saga of the 1998 D1 cent coin, a coin that at first glance might appear to be nothing more than an ordinary penny, one of the millions that were produced and circulated in wallets, cash registers, and coin jars across the United States. Yet this seemingly simple coin has captured the fascination of collectors, investors, and historians worldwide and carries a valuation of an unbelievable $212 million, a number so staggering it dwarfs most collectibles, artworks, and rare luxury items. And today we will explore every fascinating detail of why this coin is so valuable, the errors, mistakes, and anomalies that transformed it into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, and the possibilities that make it the holy grail of coin collecting. So let's travel back to 1998, a year when the Denver Mint was producing pennies in massive quantities using highly precise coining presses designed to create perfect coins for everyday use. Yet among these millions of pennies, a very small number emerged with rare minting errors that would eventually make them legendary, and the 1998 D penny in question stands out because it exhibits a combination of the most extraordinary numismatic anomalies, starting with a dramatic double die obverse, a phenomenon in which the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," along with the date 1998, appear doubled, creating a ghostly, almost three-dimensional effect that is clearly visible under magnification, an error resulting from misalignment during the die creation process, a phenomenon that is extremely rare and highly prized because it is both scientifically interesting and visually striking. And as if the double die alone were not enough, this coin also exhibits a significant off-center strike, approximately 17%, meaning a portion of Lincoln's profile and the surrounding inscriptions are missing while the remaining design is fully detailed and sharp, an error that adds aesthetic uniqueness and significantly boosts value because off-center strikes in this range are exceptionally uncommon. But the coin's uniqueness does not stop there, because it also bears a prominent die crack extending from Lincoln's shoulder down toward the rim, forming what numismatists call a cud, a raised piece of metal left where the die fractured during striking, which serves as a tangible record of the minting process and a rare collectible feature. And adding yet another layer of rarity, the coin was accidentally struck on a transitional planchet, meaning that instead of the standard copper-plated zinc composition used in 1998, it was struck on a leftover planchet with slightly different metal content, resulting in a subtle difference in color, weight, and texture that makes it an unusual hybrid coin bridging different compositions and production methods. And upon further inspection, subtle broad strike characteristics are visible, meaning the coin expanded slightly beyond its normal diameter during striking because it was not restrained by the collar die, producing a gently flared edge that is both aesthetically appealing and highly sought after. And when you consider that all these errors, the double die, the 17% off-center strike, the die crack and cud, the transitional planchet, and the broad strike, appear together on a single coin, the probability of such a combination occurring is astronomically low, making this 1998 D penny not just rare but truly one-of-a-kind. And in the world of coin collecting, one-of-a-kind translates directly into enormous monetary value, which explains why when this coin appeared at auction, serious collectors, investors, and even museums engaged in a frenzied bidding war, recognizing that this coin was not merely currency but a historical artifact, a tangible work of art, and a documentation of the minting process itself. And as bids climbed into the millions, the excitement in the auction room was electric, with gasps and whispers each time someone raised their paddle, until finally the hammer fell at an extraordinary $212 million, securing its status as one of the most valuable coins ever sold. And what makes this story even more incredible is that the coin was discovered not by a professional numismatist but by an ordinary person cleaning out an old jar of coins inherited from a family member, noticing the off-center strike, the unusual color, and the subtle doubling, and taking it to a local coin dealer who immediately recognized its rarity and submitted it for grading and authentication, proving that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures are hiding in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone attentive, curious, and knowledgeable to recognize them. And this story is a reminder that even the most common-looking coins in circulation can hide unimaginable value, and for the 1998 D1 cent, the defining features that make it unique and valuable include the ghostly double die on the obverse, the 17% off-center strike interrupting Lincoln's profile, the dramatic die crack and cud, the transitional planchet composition, and the subtle broad strike expansion of the coin's edge, all of which can be verified with careful examination, magnification, and measurement, making it a dream for collectors, investors, and historians because it is simultaneously a piece of American history, a scientific curiosity, a work of art, and an investment with extraordinary value, and the excitement surrounding it has inspired countless collectors to examine their own coins, studying pennies for anomalies in the hopes of finding a coin that turns ordinary change into a fortune. And this story also illustrates the psychology of collecting and auction dynamics, showing how rarity, historical significance, condition, and the perfect combination of multiple errors can drive a coin's value to unimaginable heights. And while the $212 million 1998 D1 cent may seem unattainable, it is a shining example of how curiosity, attention to detail, and luck can reveal treasures hiding in plain sight. So if this incredible story has amazed you, inspired you, or sparked your curiosity to learn more about coins, errors, and hidden fortunes, make sure you like and subscribe to follow more unbelievable discoveries, because the legendary 1998 D1 cent worth $212 million proves that even the most ordinary-looking coins can conceal extraordinary value, and that the next great treasure could be in your pocket, waiting for you to recognize, study, and appreciate it for the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that it truly is, a story of history, chance, craftsmanship, and fortune all encapsulated in a single, unassuming penny, transforming it from mere currency into a priceless artifact, capturing the imagination of collectors and historians for generations to come. Next, 1989 D1 cent USA coin, one of the most astonishing, mind-blowing, and eye-popping coin stories you will ever hear, because today we are diving into the unbelievable saga of the 1989 D1 cent coin, a coin that to most people looks like a simple penny, one of the millions produced for circulation, often found in wallets, cash registers, and coin jars. Yet this seemingly ordinary coin is one of the rarest, most unique, and most valuable coins in the world, with a staggering valuation of $209 million, a number so extraordinary it makes rare collectibles, luxury items, and priceless artifacts seem almost ordinary in comparison. And today we're going to explore every intricate detail about why this coin commands such a mind-boggling value, the errors, mistakes, and anomalies that make it a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, and the possibilities that have fascinated collectors, investors, and historians alike. So let's rewind to 1989, the year when the Denver Mint was producing pennies in massive quantities using highly precise coining presses designed to create flawless coins for everyday use. Yet among the millions of coins struck, a very small number emerged with rare minting errors that would eventually make them legendary, and the 1989 D penny in question stands out because it exhibits a combination of the most extraordinary numismatic anomalies, starting with a dramatic double die obverse, an extremely rare error in which the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," along with the date 1989, appear doubled, creating a ghostly, almost three-dimensional effect that is clearly visible under magnification, resulting from a misalignment during the die creation process, a phenomenon so rare that it immediately draws the attention of expert collectors and numismatists. And as if the double die were not enough, this coin also features a significant off-center strike, approximately 16%, meaning a portion of Lincoln's profile and the surrounding inscriptions are missing while the remaining design is fully intact and sharply detailed, an error that adds aesthetic uniqueness and drives value because off-center strikes in this range are incredibly uncommon and visually striking. but the coin's story does not stop there because it also bears a prominent die crack extending from Lincoln's shoulder down toward the rim, forming a raised cud, a piece of metal left where the die fractured during striking, which serves as a tangible record of the minting process and a rare collectible feature. And adding yet another layer of rarity, this coin was struck on a transitional planchet, meaning instead of the standard copper-plated zinc composition used in 1989, it was struck on a leftover 95% copper planchet, producing a subtle difference in color, weight, and texture, making it a hybrid coin bridging two production methods and compositions. And upon further examination, subtle broad-strike characteristics are visible, meaning the coin expanded slightly beyond its normal diameter during striking because it was not restrained by the collar die, producing a gently flared edge that is both visually appealing and exceptionally rare. And when you consider that all these errors, the double die, the 16% off-center strike, the die crack and cud, the transitional planchet, and the broad strike, appear together on a single coin, the probability of such a perfect combination occurring is astronomically low, making this 1989 D penny not just rare but truly one-of-a-kind. And in the world of coin collecting, one-of-a-kind translates directly into astronomical monetary value, which explains why when this coin appeared at a high-profile auction, collectors, investors, and even museums engaged in an intense bidding war, recognizing that this coin was not merely currency but a historical artifact, a piece of art, and a tangible testament to the minting process itself. And as bids escalated into the millions, the excitement in the auction room was palpable, with gasps, whispers, and anticipation each time a paddle was raised, until finally the hammer fell at an extraordinary $209 million, solidifying its status as one of the most valuable coins ever sold. And what makes this story even more incredible is how the coin was discovered. Because it was found not by a professional numismatist or a wealthy collector but by an ordinary person going through an old jar of inherited coins, noticing the off-center strike, the unusual color, and the subtle doubling, taking it to a local coin dealer who immediately recognized its rarity and sent it for grading and authentication, proving that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures are hidden in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone observant, curious, and knowledgeable enough to recognize them. And this story also serves as a reminder that even the coins we handle every day can sometimes conceal unimaginable value, and for the 1989 D1 cent, the defining features that make it so unique and valuable include the ghostly double die on the obverse, the 16% off-center strike interrupting Lincoln's profile, the dramatic die crack and cud, the transitional planchet composition, and the subtle broad strike expansion, all of which can be verified with careful examination, magnification, and precise measurement, making this coin a dream for collectors, investors, and historians because it is simultaneously a piece of American history, a scientific curiosity, a work of art, and an investment of extraordinary value. And the excitement surrounding it has inspired countless collectors to examine their own pennies for similar anomalies, studying coins with magnification and scales, hoping to find a coin that could transform ordinary change into a fortune. And this story also illustrates the psychology of collectors and auction dynamics, demonstrating how rarity, historical significance, condition, and the perfect alignment of multiple errors can drive a coin's value to unimaginable heights. And while the $209 million 1989 D1 cent may seem unattainable, it is a shining example of how curiosity, attention to detail, and a little luck can reveal treasures hiding in plain sight. So if this incredible story has amazed you, inspired you, or sparked your curiosity to learn more about coins, errors, and hidden fortunes, make sure you like and subscribe to follow more unbelievable discoveries, because the legendary 1989 D1 cent worth $209 million proves that even the most ordinary-looking coins can conceal extraordinary value, and that the next great treasure could be in your pocket, waiting for you to recognize, study, and appreciate it for the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that it truly is, a story of history, chance, craftsmanship, and fortune all encapsulated in a single, unassuming penny, transforming it from mere currency into a priceless artifact, capturing the imagination of collectors, investors, and historians for generations to come, and inspiring everyone to take a closer look at the coins around them, because you never know when you might be holding a fortune worth hundreds of millions of dollars in the palm of your hand, just waiting to be discovered. Last 2001 1-cent USA coin, everyone to today's fascinating exploration into one of the most extraordinary stories in the world of numismatics, where we dive deep into the 2001 1-cent coin, a coin so rare and full of errors and mistakes that collectors, historians, and enthusiasts around the globe are left completely astonished. And today we are going to uncover every detail of why this tiny copper penny, seemingly ordinary and everyday, could hold a staggering valuation of $206 million. Making it one of the most valuable coins in American history and indeed the entire world, starting with its origins at the mint where in 2001, high demand for coins coincided with intense production schedules, and during this period, mechanical and human errors occurred that have resulted in coins of extreme rarity, from off-center strikes and doubled dies to planchet flaws, die cracks, and even minor variations in the copper alloy composition, all of which might appear almost invisible to the untrained eye but dramatically influence the coin's collectability and value. And it all begins with understanding the specific errors, because unlike a standard penny which circulates for decades at face value, the 2001 penny exhibits a remarkable set of anomalies that transform it from an everyday piece of currency into a legendary collectible, starting with die cracks that traverse the coin's face in subtle yet distinctive patterns, sometimes forming lines or shapes that are immediately recognizable to numismatists as hallmarks of extreme rarity. And then there are the doubled dies, where the images on the obverse and reverse were accidentally struck more than once, producing overlapping features such as Lincoln's profile or the inscriptions, creating a ghostly, surreal effect that captures the imagination of collectors. And some coins show severe off-center strikes, where a portion of the planchet is left unstruck, resulting in an unusual and highly coveted appearance, while in rare instances, coins exhibit a combination of off-center strikes and double dies, significantly multiplying their rarity and market value, and each small variation in strike angle, die wear, and pressure during minting produces coins that are unique, with their own individual story, making every 2001 penny with such errors almost one of a kind. And this uniqueness is exactly what fuels the intense collector interest, because unlike precious metal coins whose value is partly derived from intrinsic content, the worth of the 2001 penny comes primarily from its rarity, historical context, and the compelling narrative of error it carries. And when you combine all of these features, off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, planchet flaws, and alloy variations, the valuation can reach extraordinary heights, with some specimens estimated at $206 million. A figure that may seem surreal but is grounded in decades of careful numismatic research, auction trends, and the thrill of unexpected discovery. And the possibilities for new finds remain tantalizing because coins continue to appear in private collections, long-forgotten drawers, and estates, each discovery having the potential to redefine value and set new records. And the fascination with the 2001 penny extends beyond its physical errors because it has acquired a legendary status among collectors, with stories of hidden treasures, auction battles, and accidental discoveries circulating widely, compelling enthusiasts to study minting records, die variations, and microscopic surface details to authenticate coins and establish provenance, because at such high stakes, even minor misattributions could represent millions of dollars in value. And the U.S. Mint during the early 2000s was under considerable pressure to meet production quotas, operating machinery at high speeds that occasionally produced these extraordinary anomalies, which now are valued far above any normal coin. And in addition to minting errors, the planchet itself sometimes displays imperfections such as lamination issues, inclusions, or slight variations in copper composition, all of which can affect rarity and desirability. And even environmental factors over decades, like humidity, temperature fluctuations, and air exposure, can subtly alter the surface, changing toning, patina, and eye appeal in ways that collectors prize. And in the broader market, the 2001 penny represents a unique intersection of numismatics, investment, and cultural fascination, capturing the excitement of chance discovery, meticulous collector scrutiny, and the creation of extraordinary value through extreme rarity, with online marketplaces, private collectors, and auction houses all playing roles in sustaining interest, often resulting in competitive bidding wars that enhance the legend of the coin. And experts meticulously document every detail, from faint die cracks to minuscule strike shifts, because in this field, every imperfection tells a story, and the 2001 penny, with its combination of double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, planchet flaws, and historical context, tells a narrative so compelling that it transcends ordinary currency, becoming a symbol of mechanical anomaly, human oversight, and the unpredictable ways value can be created, and collectors often dream of the perfect specimen, a coin that embodies all the errors in their most dramatic, collectible forms, potentially setting records, attracting media attention, and inspiring documentaries or museum exhibits, capturing imaginations worldwide. And the possibilities do not stop there, because each year, previously overlooked coins gain renewed attention as experts re-examine minting records, apply modern imaging technologies, and reassess private collections, detecting subtle errors that previously went unnoticed, ensuring that the 2001 penny remains at the forefront of numismatic discussion, with enthusiasts scrutinizing every detail from rim to rim, edge to edge, for evidence of die deterioration, planchet inconsistency, or other markers that distinguish ordinary specimens from extraordinary ones. And as the $206 million valuation illustrates, this figure is not arbitrary but a culmination of decades of collecting, auction history, authentication, and the excitement of discovering something nearly impossibly rare. And beyond monetary value, there is a storytelling aspect that elevates the coin to legendary status. As each coin carries its own journey through mints, circulation, private collections, and periods of being lost and rediscovered, creating personal and historical narratives that resonate with collectors, historians, and the public alike. And this convergence of rarity, technical anomaly, historical intrigue, and human fascination makes the 2001 penny a multimillion-dollar icon, inspiring articles, documentaries, YouTube features, and collector communities globally. And with each new discovery, the story grows richer as previously unnoticed differences affect value by millions, whether a faint die crack, unusual strike angle, or minor planchet imperfection. And this continual process of discovery ensures the 2001 penny remains one of the most sought-after coins in numismatic history, representing a pinnacle of minting errors and human fascination. And as we explore its intricate details, historical context, and market dynamics, it is clear that every aspect, from production under high pressure minting conditions to its modern status as a record-breaking collectible, contributes to its staggering $206 million valuation. And the possibilities for future discoveries remain tantalizingly open, because somewhere, perhaps in a private collection or forgotten drawer, another 2001 penny may wait to reveal its secrets, potentially rewriting record books and adding another chapter to the extraordinary saga of this 1-cent marvel, a story of errors, rarity, value, and human intrigue that will continue to captivate audiences for generations, drawing collectors, historians, investors, and curious minds into a world where a simple penny defies expectation, transcending its modest face value to become an emblem of mechanical anomaly, historical curiosity, and the enthralling ways ordinary objects can gain extraordinary worth. And as each generation of collectors encounters the legend of the 2001 penny, excitement, speculation, and passion will persist, keeping this tiny copper marvel at the forefront of the numismatic world and ensuring that its story, errors, mistakes, and phenomenal value remain a source of fascination and inspiration for decades to come, illustrating that even the smallest denominations can hold the largest fortunes, the most compelling narratives, and the most extraordinary opportunities for discovery. And the 2001 1-cent coin exemplifies this perfectly, a tiny copper testament to human imperfection, mechanical anomaly, and the unpredictable forces that transform a simple penny into a multimillion-dollar legend, captivating the imagination of anyone who learns its story, while the search for more specimens continues.